All right, how's it going, everybody? Thank you so much for joining tonight. Tonight's going to be a lot of fun. So this has been something that I've really been looking forward to for quite some time. So I mean, having Eddie Belfour first of all on the channel for me as a huge hockey fan was was something just very cool for me. And then to mix in the fact that he also now kind of owns a whiskey brand is even cooler. So I'm pretty sure most everybody will know who Mr. Belfour is. If not, we'll have him introduce himself a little bit here in a minute. So, but again, so if you didn't already know, so what he's got is he's got a new lineup that's relatively newer to the market called BELFOUR Spirits. And again, we'll go over all of this stuff. So rather than waste any more time, let me bring him on here, and we'll get this show on the road. So, all right, there's the man of the hour right there, Mr. Eddie Belfour. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Scott. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, should be a really good time. I figured there's this time of year, there's nothing better to maybe talk about than maybe a little playoff hockey. These are a little bit of weird circumstances, of course, but normally, playoff hockey in itself is absolutely fantastic and the fans go crazy. But this year a little bit different, but still the same butt kicking going on out there. That's for sure. So like I said before, so as everybody I think mostly knows, Eddie from his playing career, Hall of Famer, fantastic goalie. I mean, one of the best of all time. So, and then the transition from that into the world of, whiskey, basically, we'll kind of get a little information from him and see kind of how that all began. But first, before we do that, why don't you, if you don't mind, just kind of go back a few years and maybe share a little bit about your hockey career and tell everybody how we got to where we are now.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Canada, a small town, Carmen, Manitoba, and grew up in a time period where, it was all about hockey for us in Canada. Every Saturday night it was hockey night in Canada, and most families would gather around the TV. We had 3 stations, and we'd always enjoy the teams play that were our favorites back then. There was only 6 teams, the original 6. Mm-hmm. My favorite team being the Chicago Blackhawks. My mom's was the Maple Leafs, and my dad's was the Montreal Canadiens. And so we'd always, have a good time razzing each other. And we had our favorite players, and mine were Tony Esposito, Stan Mikita, and Bobby Hall for the Blackhawks. So it was a dream come true for me to sign with the Blackhawks after 1 year at the University of North Dakota Fighting Sioux. We won the NCAA there, 40 wins, 8 losses. They called our team the Dream Team, and I was undrafted. So I was very fortunate to have about 5 teams that wanted to sign me, and the Blackhawks were one of them. So signed with the Blackhawks in '87. Like I said, that was a dream come true for me, signing with the Chicago Blackhawks. I was there for about 10 years, had some real good success with the Blackhawks, and, made a lot of great friends there and great memories at Chicago Stadium. And unfortunately, I got traded from Chicago to San Jose in '97. I was in San Jose just for a little bit. Didn't want to leave Chicago. It was one of the saddest days of my career. Spent just a little bit of time in San Jose, became a free agent July 1st, '97, and I signed with the Dallas Stars. And ended up playing 5 years here with the Dallas Stars, and we won the Stanley Cup in '99, which, I played for the Stanley Cup ever since I was a little boy, with, playing street hockey and floor hockey. And, like I said, it was all about hockey for us Canadian kids. And, to lift the cup and hoist it over top of my head in '99 with the Stars was just an amazing moment, and I'll never forget it. Left the Dallas Stars, unfortunately, in 2002, but went to my mom's favorite team with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And what a heck of a time that was, playing for the Maple Leafs. And, just everyone knows the game in Toronto, and it's the hockey mecca of the world, I believe. And just making the playoffs there, the excitement of the city and the fans, energy is just amazing. And I mean, to win the Stanley Cup in Toronto would be one of the ultimate dreams for sure. And unfortunately, I didn't get to do that, but we had some good success there. I went on from there to play with the Florida Panthers 1 year there. Enjoyed my time there. Had a lot of fun and still pretty good on my game. And unfortunately, you get towards the end of your career and you move on. I had a chance to play 1 year in Sweden, which was a wonderful experience. Played with the Leksand Stars, one of the more famous teams in the elite series there in Sweden. And they were trying to get back up to the main league. And they brought me in, and I had just enjoyed my time and made a lot of great friends there. And that was the end of my career. But looking back on it, I learned so much throughout my career, and all the life lessons that you go through, and the friends that you make. And I've tried to apply a lot of those lessons to our whiskey making. And we've been at this for about 7 years, Dane and I and Reagan. And I tell everybody we've been in the minors for 6 years, so learning our trade. When I signed with the Blackhawks, that's one of the things. I got sent to the minors right away, and that was pretty hard to take. I didn't want to be in the minors, but looking back, the 3 years I spent in the minors was the best thing for my career, because I got to learn the professional game and learn a lot about myself. And all my equipment and all that kind of stuff that goes into making me one of the best goalies to play the game. So right now, like I said, 6 years we've been working at this, trying to perfect, our mash bills, our barrel selection, and it's starting to pay off. We getting a lot of compliments and a few awards here with our whiskeys, and I'm very proud. We're involved in every detail of our business. So it's an exciting time for myself and for Dane. After you're done your career, you're kind of lost there for a little while because you're not with your team. You're used to training all summer and getting ready for training camp, and you're with the fellas all year long, and you're playing games, and everything's routine, and we really miss that. So now, back into making whiskey, we have our own team, and it feels good again. And it's a very creative field, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'm sure. I mean, going back to your career, I mean, to play in the NHL for, was it 20 or 21 years?
It's about 20 years total.
About 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of people who get to play. I mean, obviously professional sports, but to have the career that you did, and like you said, to build those friendships and the camaraderie. I mean, it can become very character building, and I think, like you said, that passion transitions over into whatever your next endeavor or passion may be, and it seems like with your family that you've found that. So let me go back a little bit. So before this all began, was there something, or what was it that made you kind of decide or think, I really want to start whether it was a whiskey or just spirits in general, what was it that made you kind of want to get into the whiskey game?
Well, I think, one of the things was for, my family to be involved and, do something with my kids. So we looked at different businesses out there, and, there were other things that we could have done. But this industry, this field, I don't know, it's an exciting field. It's very creative, like I was saying. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I took art in high school, and when I went to college, I took art. I really enjoy that side of myself, and I've always been that way. Back when I was a kid, I did a couple of drawings of Tony Esposito, my favorite goalie. This was grade 3. And I ended up winning first prize at the Carmen Fair, and got the ribbons for that. And I think if I remember right, it was $5 back then. So
Times have changed. Yeah.
yeah, but it was fun, and you know, getting into making whiskey. Uh, you know, the people that we met, they all you know, are open doored, very friendly people. They love to have a lot of fun, just like hockey players do. So we fit right in with that group. You know, you work hard and you play hard, and that's what you know, the Belfour family is about. I think, you know, most of the people that are in the industry are like that. They love to enjoy themselves. They love to socialize and you know, talk about their products and how they made it. And you know, they're very helpful. So when we first got into it, you know, Quentin Witherspoon here in the Dallas area, he really helped us. You know, even invited us to come in and work at Witherspoon's, and you know, that's just the type of people that are in this industry.
Yeah.
Very friendly, very helpful, and there's a lot of people that helped us, you know, with our products. Peggy No Stevens, you know, she really helped us. All the people at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, Don Rogers, Randy Allender. You know, Randy still helps us. You know, he's a big part of our team, and you know, it makes a difference. You know, when you have those type of people backing you, you know, it just it goes a long way. Don Hardwick, also a big part of our packaging. You know, took us better part of 2 years to create that bottle and the labels. And
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
amazing.
we wanted to have something really unique, something that would stick out on the shelves. You know, we did a lot of research on that, and you know, I tell everybody that's about version 100 there that you're looking at, those bottles.
Version 100. Yeah, a lot of trial and error then. Hey.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of pride went into that.
Let's go back. I know. So I think it was kind of an easy transition for you because you can tell there's a lot of like a family orientation. You know, you're used to it with hockey and being close with the guys, and then the family and getting them involved in all of this. So to talk specifically about like your kids, what are some of their roles within the brand? Like what are they doing?
Well, Reagan is a finance major, so she's very detailed. She was in banking for 7 years, and she came on with us full time last fall. So she does a lot of our, you know, behind the scenes accounting. You know, making sure that you know, all the you know, everything that you need to do with the finances behind the scenes and the banking, you know, the recording, the documentation. Right now, she's at the distillery doing our barrel inventory. She's found a new way to inventory all of our barrels, and you know, so we produce new barrels. Everything's inventoried properly. When we dump barrels, you know, it's very important to keep track of all that stuff. So she likes that side of it, the production, you know, staying on top of all the fine details of, you know, ordering the bottles, the packaging, coordinating, you know, when we're going to dump. She really enjoys that side of it. Very important to be organized there.
Yeah.
We have a lot of research and development test barrels that we've been, you know, working with, and, you know, trying to create our flavors and improve upon what we have. That's one thing about me is I'm a perfectionist, and you know, throughout my career, that's one thing I learned is, you know, when I had a great rookie season with the Blackhawks, won Rookie of the Year in the Vezina, and you know, all those awards, you know, I just didn't sit on my laurels and say, you know, I've already done it. I'm, you know,
Yeah.
it's going to be easy from now on. It's not the case. You have to work at it, and you got to try and get better every year, and, you know, improve your equipment, improve your fitness, you know, improve everything that you can about your game. Well, that's what we try to do with our whiskeys too. We try and improve everything, you know, from the labeling to the juice that goes in it. And you know, Dane, he's a big part of production. He made our first 12 barrels, which was our our VIP limited edition straight rye whiskey. Only 12 barrels there, equates to approximately 2,400 bottles. And, it's got a beautiful chalice cup on top, brings back some reference and memories for me. And, I gave one of those to each one of my teammates that we won the cup with in '99. So Dane's was I remember the day he called me when he finished making filling the last barrel, and he was sipping on the White Dog, and he had tears in his eyes, and he's like, "Dad, the White Dog is just amazing, and it tastes unbelievable, and I can't wait till we get to taste it in 6 months." And I wasn't there, but I could feel his emotion and his pride, and that whiskey is just an amazing product for us. Everyone loves it. It's very smooth. It's 100 proof, but it's very smooth, very easy to drink, and it comes in a beautiful box. And it's a collector item. They're all numbered. Get a lot of compliments on the packaging, and we've saved back 2 of those barrels. We've dumped 10 of them, and hopefully when the borders open up back again, we can dump another one of those barrels. It's going to go to Canada. So there'll only be 240 bottles going to Canada, everyone. So
they're all gonna want it. That I was gonna ask you like what the availability of that was, because you see it in a lot of the pictures. I mean, obviously knowing you, and then you see the bottle with the big cup and everything on the top. I mean, it's the presentation is, it's second to none. I mean, it's pretty darn impressive. So
yeah, well, thank you. So Dane is a big part of our production. He's continuously working with the White Dog when it's coming off the still, the proof points that go in the barrel. He's huge with our tastings. He loves doing the tastings and socializing and promoting our products. I call him the Pied Piper sometimes, because he gets out there and starts talking about our whiskey, and people are just following him around and just listening to him in awe. And he's a great speaker and great promoter of our product, and he can get in there and run the still and do all that too. So it is a real team effort, and we all have our strong points, and again, it's a team though, so we all work together very hard. We got a great team. There's only 9 of us right now, but as we grow, we'll continue to build that team.
Yeah, interesting. Well, let's talk a little bit about the process, like your whiskey. So I was interested to know and again, depending on what you're willing to share, is this like a proprietary mash bill of your own that you're having somebody else either produce for you and age like elsewhere, or is it just already a predetermined like mash bill that you guys are working with?
Yeah, so Dane and I did a lot of research on the mash bills before we decided, and they're not proprietary at all. And I tell everybody, like, there's a lot of mash bills that are used out there, and you can make the same mash bill in Colorado, which we do. Our VIP limited edition straight rye whiskey is 70-20-10. 70% rye, 20% corn, 10% malted barley. And our regular rye whiskey has the same mash bill, but they don't taste anything alike at all. And someone else could use the same mash bill in Kentucky or in Texas, wherever, and it's not going to taste anything like ours, because the yeast strains are all different, the water's different, the barrels are different. They all contribute to creating that unique flavor. And I find that no 2 whiskeys taste exactly alike. Yeah. So
I always say with like whiskey in general, or like bourbon specifically, or rye, it's the same but different. Like you said, I mean, you could have the identical mash bill, but that's another thing. You kind of hit a good point, is that the different yeast strains that people use and where they're aged, and definitely what states. There's so many things that play into the flavor profile of a whiskey outside of just what the normal mash bill is. A lot of people get kind of so focused on just the mash bill that they kind of lose sight of all of the other factors, barrel entry proofs, all these different things that really play into, the flavor profile of a whiskey. So
yeah, that's exactly it, Scott. And
yeah.
that's where the creative side comes in, and the research and development. I love that side of it. That Dane always calls me the mad scientist. So I'm in the back there, in the lab, and working with different things, and trying to create these unique flavors, just like I did with my equipment. I was very hands-on, designing all my goalie equipment, and had a patent on my goalie skates with the first removable blades. So that's me. Like, I love that side of it, and always trying to, like I said, better our products that we have right now, and we're gonna be coming out with some very unique products in the future.
Interesting. Yeah, let's talk about the like your process in terms of like what it is you're doing, like where is the whiskey kind of coming from, and all of that, if you don't mind, sharing a little bit about that.
Yeah, so right now we don't have our own distillery. So like I was telling you earlier, Dane did an internship at Woody Creek Distillery in Basalt, Colorado. He worked there for, I think, 7 months or 8 months. He worked at the distillery during the day. He made those 12 barrels. And then after that, we went to Moonshine University, learned a lot there, made a lot of great connections, like I was saying. And through those connections, we end up at Southern Distilling in Statesville, North Carolina, with Pete and Vienna Barger. They had just gotten into the business also, and had their own distillery. And so we've worked with them ever since on all of our whiskey. They've made everything there for us. We're heavily involved. They let us come in and do all of our blending, do, our dumps there. We get to run the still there. We do our tastings there. They're great people to work with. And we have, I think, the better part of 2,300 barrels there now.
Wow.
Hopefully within the next year, year and a half, we're working with a city in Kentucky, and we'll be running and opening our own distillery in Kentucky. We really look forward to that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun planning, challenging,
Yeah.
very challenging to get all the different aspects of a distillery up and going. And the great thing about Kentucky is every city that we've visited, they rolled out the red carpet. They understand the business. They want you to come to their city, and again, very helpful in information, and trying to help us build a brand and our distillery. So really looking forward to being in Kentucky here within the next couple years.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, so is the reason for being in Kentucky just because of, I guess I'll say the status of Kentucky versus like Texas. Now, I don't mean like any disrespect to Texas, because they're doing some absolutely fantastic things, and they've got their own like flavor profile, which for me, I'm a big fan of it. There's a lot of guys in here in the chat right now who are big fans of it too. So why Kentucky over Texas with you guys being down there?
Well, with us going to Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, we learned a lot about the business there. We did the Bourbon Trail, visited Maker's Mark and Woodford Reserve, and Jim Beam, and all the different places. We've tried to learn as much as we can, about how bourbon originated, how it started, and most of the people that we've come in contact with and hired as consultants, have educated us, and really made it clear that that's the right place for us to start BELFOUR Spirits distillery. There is definitely that reputation and notoriety of Kentucky bourbon, and the water that comes from the ground in Kentucky. It makes great whiskey, and it's been proven for a long time. So
Yeah.
I think it makes sense for us to be there. We enjoy every time we go there, and we want to be part of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. So
Yeah.
again, it's been just a lot of fun.
So is now with the distillery, are you already kind of like, I mean, have you broken ground anywhere? Or are you at that stage where you're starting the actual development or construction of the distillery itself?
We have not done the breaking ceremony yet. We do have our site picked out. We haven't done that yet because of COVID.
Yeah.
We were hoping to announce all that this year sometime, but it's just bad timing right now with what's happened. And we'll wait and we'll be patient. We continue to work hard every day at our plans and getting ready, and it just gives us more time to get it right and perfect it as much as possible.
Yeah.
And I look forward to that day when we can announce it and we do a groundbreaking ceremony and have a nice celebration.
Well, you already know that there's going to be a lot of good stuff behind it. I mean, you can tell you're a passionate person, so there's going to be the quality of that behind, I think, everything is that you do. I don't think you'll let anything either fail or be kind of subpar. You can just tell you're that kind of person. So
well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I'm very detailed, have a lot of pride. I treat it, like I said, the same way I did my hockey career. I played every game like it was my last, and really focused on trying to be the best I can be every game and get ready for the playoffs. Like you were saying earlier, the playoffs are the best time of the year.
Yeah.
And I always focused on getting ready for the playoffs and being at my best during the playoffs, because that Stanley Cup, it means everything.
Yeah.
And it's the ultimate. So the same thing with our whiskey, same thing with our distillery. I want to make sure that we pay attention to every detail we can. And sure, we're going to make some mistakes, just like I did in my career. But it's not what happens to you; it's how you react. And there's lessons to be learned, and we're continuously learning those lessons and getting better.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we move on and maybe taste some whiskey? I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts behind some of it. I've got everything already poured, so you guys are kind enough to send the bottle, so thank you so much. I mean, obviously the bottle is second to none. I mean, it's a when these things are drained, they're going to be filled right back up with something else. I mean, it's a great decanter bottle. So, I mean, I'm guessing just like the style of the bottle, there was a nice, we can get into the inspiration behind that, but I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on, some of the whiskeys, specifically the bourbon and the rye, and just kind of, talk a little bit about it. Now for me, I don't know if you have any right now or not, but so I've got the bourbon, which was finished in a Texas pecan wood, correct?
Correct.
So with that, like, that's interesting. That's already something different that I've not seen before. What was it about that made you kind of decide to either finish it, or was it from the time of, going into the barrel, was it always the Texas pecan wood, or was it just finished in a Texas pecan wood?
Yeah, so we wanted to have that Texas connection, win the Stanley Cup here in '99, and we all live here in Texas. We love Texas, so we wanted to have a Texas connection. We originally thought we were going to have our distillery here. It didn't work out. There's a lot of things that, they're learning here in the different cities and counties. It's starting to get more opened up for people who want to build a distillery here in Texas, but it's not the same as Kentucky, where they just totally understand the revenue streams and roll out the red carpet for you in Kentucky. But we still wanted to have that Texas connection. So our bourbon is a 60-30-10 wheated bourbon originally. We wanted something that was going to be on the sweet side, very smooth and easy to drink. And that product right there is that very, very easy on its own. And then what we decided to do with some research that I'd done with some friends of ours that help us out with our barrels at Black Swan in Minnesota. Russ there, he educated us a lot about the pecan and how it can finish a bourbon. And so we did a bunch of development with that, and we really enjoyed what it did to our bourbon and the flavor and the uniqueness of it that came from adding the pecan staves, which we do towards the end of the aging period, and we add them there for about 6 weeks.
Okay.
And what that does is it creates that, I've heard so many times the vanilla palm creme brulee, it's
Yeah.
got a little bit of a smokiness to it.
No doubt. I was just going to say that. That was the first thing when I first opened up the bottle. The first thing I got was that smokiness that you could. Now, again, you kind of read the label and you see Texas pecan wood, and maybe you start to think that. But that was one of the first things, like you said, it was that sweetness, and then right away there's that smoky, like campfire type
Right.
of note to it.
Well, Texas being a big barbecue state, so
Oh yeah,
definitely have some smokiness to our bourbon. And like I was telling you, the bourbon tastes great all by itself, but when you add that pecan to it, it just adds more character to the product. And I think it just, everyone that tries it, just like, wow, they weren't expecting that. And we just get so many compliments on it. And it just won, rated a 91 there, so we were really happy with that.
yeah.
Anytime you get in the 90s, you're doing something right. So we're really happy.
Yeah. It's really nice. I guess the one thing I didn't realize about this was that it was a wheated bourbon, that there's no rye in this, correct?
Yeah, no rye.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Once you kind of nose it, you get that nice smokiness, that real like woodsy aspect to it, with some of that like underlying, sweetness, the caramels, the vanillas, a lot of those traditional type of bourbon notes. But secondary to that was, which a lot of people can really be, it can be a little misleading, that you think of a wheated bourbon as always being like soft and doughy and floral. But this, I mean, it gives you the impression that this is a rye-based whiskey because of that nice spice that it has to it.
Yeah, exactly. And that has a lot to do with the pecan.
Yeah.
It definitely adds, like I was saying, some nice character notes to it. And, we felt when we were doing our research and development, we tried different versions of the pecan, toast levels of that, and that creates those different nuances that you'll get out of it. And we chose that particular toasting for our bourbon, and it just, I mean, when we first tried it, we were all just like, oh my gosh, we just hit the home run with that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You do, like, as you say that, you do get that kind of almost like a little bit of like that marshmallowy aspect. There's that like campfire type of aspect that you do get from this. And I think people would really enjoy this. Does seem like it would be a really nice like barbecue type of bourbon. There's a lot of, I like how the spice holds up, the wood, the wood aspect to it, but with still some of that underlying sweetness that's there.
Yeah, for sure. It does awesome in an old fashioned. And, here in Dallas, we met with the folks over at the private cowboy club, and they make a really specialized old fashioned. They're using some roasted nuts with our bourbon. And I had a chance to try it, and I was like, wow, that was just amazing. And definitely that campfire marshmallow smokiness comes out even more so in that particular old fashioned. So that was nice to experience.
It's the more I kind of talk and like think about what some of this stuff reminds me of is a lot of times when you go to like a baseball game, and there's always that like roasted like nut vendor who's got like those like sweet caramely, like sugary type of like almonds or pecans. Pecans obviously is what it is.
Right.
And yeah, that's what a lot of this, I was trying to grasp what that was. And now with the sweetness and the smoke and all of that, it's like a liquid version of the baseball game nuts that you get. So it's really nice. I don't know if we said or not, but what kind of age do we have approximately on these?
So that was one of the things that we really worked hard was, we didn't want to wait 6-8 years for our product to taste great. So I did a lot of research and development on the barrel selection and the staves and the toasting and charring that we use. And one of the things that we do is we make sure we use as much as possible northern oak from Minnesota. The grain on the trees there is a lot tighter because it gets really cold there, like, -40, -50 sometimes, like where I grew up in Canada. And the trees grow a lot slower, but the growth rings are nice and close, which create those caramels, those vanilla tastes that you get, those nice sweetnesses. And that's important in aging. The other thing is barrel entry. I think that makes a huge difference on how fast it can age. And the pecan definitely helps tremendously with bringing that product along. The stuff you're drinking right there is a year and a half old.
Really?
So, yeah, and it tasted great at a year old. So, some of the people out there that claim that whiskey has to age, 6, 7, 8, 10 years before it tastes good, that's not really the case. There's a lot of great whiskeys that are only a year and a half old. And I like to think that we're in that category. Of course, we're going to continue to age our products. Being a young company, it takes a while to build that inventory up where you can, continuously have a 2, a 3, a 4, or 5-year-old products on the shelves. But we're working towards that, and it's only going to get better as it ages.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it would have been easy, or I shouldn't say easy, but, easier for you had you just gone to somebody and, purchased whiskey from them and put it in a bottle. I mean, you could have done that with, without having to go through everything that you're going through now. But, to take the time and the pride to craft your own and do all of that, there's a lot to be, said about that. And, you give a lot of these distillers, small distilleries, a lot of credit for doing that because, you guys are having to compete with, a lot of the big boys out there in terms of what it is that they produce on a massive scale. So yeah, that's a very difficult proposition at times, I'm sure.
Yeah, like that was recommended to us when we first got into this. And, I didn't want to be like a lot of the other celebrities that get into, the alcohol industry and just slap their name on a bulk spirit and create a brand. That's not what I'm about. That's not what the Belfour family is about. We're very hands-on. We have a lot of pride, and if we're going to put our name on something, we wanted to have hands-on right from the beginning and learn and create and create that base, that foundation that you really need to create a brand, a distillery that can last tens of years that could turn into hundreds of years.
Right.
So we wanted to create that, and I think we've done a pretty good job. And like I said, we're only going to get better. We research and develop a lot of different things, and we're going to continue to do that and continue to improve on our products.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of that, a lot of times, and you've tasted it, so you'll get a lot of that youth at times in some things that with some whiskeys can be very off-putting when somebody doesn't put in the time or the consistency or use good products and then pull it too early. You get a lot of just that still that very grainy, that, white doggish type of flavor with, some slight, vanillas and caramels and things. But I think you guys are doing a good job. You can tell the passion behind things that you're not going to do something like subpar. So there's a lot of that. So, all right, I'm going to take a swig of water here real quick, and we'll move on to the rye whiskey, which, you're always interested to know what these are going to be like, but it really caught me off guard. I'll say that without, giving away the farm or anything yet. I'll say I was pleasantly surprised when I tried it, actually, because the rye was 94 proof, correct? This one?
Yeah.
And I think I heard somewhere, maybe on one of the podcasts that you did with some of the guys, the Bourbon Lens, I think you had mentioned that the idea is not always to necessarily have or keep the same proof, that it could adjust slightly from releases.
It does. And, we've learned that over our tastings. Like we'll proof it down in 1 point increments. And, what we did is we would make up 3 different labels, like a 91, 92, and 93 for, the bourbon there. It would be like a 93, 94, 95 on the rye there. And, sometimes for whatever reason, that's the magic behind this.
Yeah.
1 proof point, even a half proof point, the flavor profile can change just dramatically. And so what we always try to do before we bottle is we'll do a tasting right before we bottle, and it might change by 1 proof point, and we have those labels made up, so it could change in the future by 1 or 2, because we want to hit that sweet spot every time.
Yeah, that's interesting. And that's one of those things when you're tasting whiskey and how you're doing the blends, you kind of hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's the whiskey's going to let you know what the proof is, not the other way around. So when you start proofing these things down or whatever it is, you're going to know what that number is as soon as you kind of try it. So,
yeah, exactly. And,
all right. I have to say real quick, thanks to our chief. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. Yeah. So like I was saying before with the rye, it really caught me off guard. I mean, it was like immediately bold and spicy, something I really enjoy in a rye whiskey. There's still that sweetness, and there was a little bit of that spearmint, slight little dill, note, but not super dominant on each, which I think makes this a nice rye whiskey that's approachable for a lot of people, because as they're a lot of these whiskeys, these ryes can be either super dominant on like the spearmint or minty side or the dill side. So people say, well, I like rye whiskey, but it's kind of like bourbon. There's so many different profiles with a rye whiskey that it's just kind of trial and error in terms of what it is you like as well. So,
yeah. So, growing up in Canada, that's all we grew up with was rye whiskey. And, so I thought it was really important that, we have some really, in my opinion, really awesome rye whiskey, and did a lot of research on the mash bills. And I wanted something that was a little bit more balanced than a traditional Canadian rye whiskey, which sometimes can be, on the pungent side, on the harsh side.
Yeah.
We didn't want our rye whiskey to be like that. We wanted everybody to be able to drink it, first time drinkers and experienced drinkers, and be able to drink it neat and sip on it all night long. And when we were doing our taste testing, I'd always, I'd put 3 or 4 in front of Dane. And I'm like, Dane, okay, try this one, try that one, and tell me, about each one. And he'd be like, yeah, Dad, this one's got some great, character to it, but I could only drink maybe 1 or 2 of those. But this one over here, I could drink this one all night long.
Yeah.
Sip on it, and that's exactly what we've tried to do with all of our products, is to create that, that drinkability. And we've had that compliment from a lot of people. They're like, wow, I was really surprised. I was expecting something a lot different. This is very smooth and easy to drink. Our rye whiskeys are, like I said, a 70, 20, 10. So that corn, adding that 20% corn in there, it balances out a little bit. And it still has, the spicy notes that you need in a rye whiskey, but it adds just a little bit of sweetness in there that I really love. That's my favorite product right there that you're sipping on. And we have drank it a few times all night long. So
I mean, it's like I said before we even went live. I mean, like I said, it's dangerously easy to sip on. The one thing when I first kind of started sipping on it a little bit was I got this nice like candied citrus note. Like it's very floral, like very citrusy, sweet. There's the nice caramels, but that bold spice is really there. I mean, I personally, even without knowing, like this for me would be a nice rye whiskey to, I think, blind a lot of people who think they only like maybe older ryes, because I think this is one with the boldness and the sweetness and that spice that's there would really trick a lot of people into thinking that this is a much older rye whiskey. So it's for me, I think it's very developed.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I'll let you know, it tasted great at 6 months.
Really? And are we kind of roughly in the same category of age and everything, about 18 months or so?
Yeah, approximately.
Yeah. And again, like, as you know, the rye will age a little bit quicker, so that can kind of advance with some of the ryes. So, but it's really nice. I could see not only sipping on that, it's a really nice sipping rye, but if you wanted to use that for cocktails, that would really hold up well. That would make a really, really nice cocktail.
Yeah, we've had that compliment also. Like, a lot of people love it in an old fashioned, and it gets a lot of compliments. And every time I hear that, it just brings a big smile to my face. And definitely when we go up north, North Dakota, South Dakota, they're loving the rye up there because they're used to drinking a lot of rye. Chicago, they definitely love the rye too. So very thankful for that product and how well it's recepted.
It's really good. That was the thing, because you always go into, you get kind of, set that everything that's a little bit young is going to have that youthfulness. And when I first tried it, I kind of sipped it and I was kind of like, I was waiting for that youth to be there. And then I'm like, well, I'll take another sip. Never came. And it was just that candied orange sweetness with the nice rye spice that's there. And you get a little bit of the malted barley aspect. There's a little bit of that floral aspect in it, because there's 10% malted barley.
Yeah.
You can pick it up a little bit in there. I like that mash bill, that 70, 20, 10. Yeah. It's really, really nice. So, so I guess let me ask you this. I guess so where you are right now with BELFOUR Spirits, where are you trying to take the company? I know you're building the distillery at some point, but what else is kind of in the works? Are there other plans for other releases?
Yeah, so we're hoping to come out with a small batch here soon, and we're still working on our regular straight bourbon whiskey. And again, I don't want to bring it out until it's perfect. So we've been working hard on that product, developing it, and it'll be a straight product. Hopefully we'll bring that out sometime in the next 6 months here.
Okay.
That's our goal. We're hopefully going to be in Canada soon. When the borders open up, we want to definitely get to Canada. And our goal is to have these specialty products. We're going to be coming out with this really unique bottle, a tribute to Ralph Engelstad in North Dakota. Really look forward to presenting that bottle here in the near future also. It's going to be another version of our rye whiskey. It's not going to be like the rye that you're tasting right there. It's going to be a little bit different, but the packaging is a tribute to Ralph Engelstad and the Fighting Sioux. That was, a dear place in my heart where I started my career. We won the NCAA there, like I said, in '87. We were 40 wins, 8 losses, and they called our team the Dream Team. So, like Ralph, I've not forgotten my roots, and love it every time I go back to Grand Forks. And we were there in January, and we were there for I think 3 days at different places there. And I think we sold 105 or 110 cases in 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
So thank you, North Dakota.
Yeah, that's very good. He was your head coach, correct?
No, Ralph, hold on one second.
Okay, sure.
There we go. We're getting dark in here.
Mm-hmm.
Ralph was a goalie, for the Sioux, back in the time period when they had chicken wire for
nets,
glass around the boards, and he never got to play, very much there, but he never forgot, the university and his time spent there. He went on to Las Vegas, ended up having some success there in construction, and ended up owning a hotel and casino. And but he always supported the University of North Dakota, where he came from, and the arena that I played in there, it was called the Ralph Engelstad Arena.
Okay.
And in '99, when we won the cup, I brought the cup to Grand Forks, and we went to the university, and Ralph was there. They had won their cup that year, and so we had a groundbreaking ceremony. It was kind of a private deal with Ralph, and we got the shovels out, and that was the day that the beginning of the new Ralph Engelstad Arena. Ralph spent, I heard rumors of in excess of $150 million of his own money to build that arena for the university and the Fighting Sioux program. And, I was so glad that I got to be part of that. And, the arena is second to none. There's so much beauty to that arena. And unfortunately, Ralph passed away a few years after the arena was finished. And so this bottle that we're going to come out with is a tribute to Ralph and the Fighting Sioux program, and all the fans and the players that have gone through there. So I'll be very proud to present that here.
And that's always a nice thing to see, that distilleries and companies, when they do like special things, tributes and all of that. So I mean, that's hats off to you guys for doing those kinds of things. So Matt had asked before, what was that? What was it? Is there a difference between the mash bill on the other rye whiskey that you have with the cup versus this? Is it a different proof, or?
Same mash bill, 70, 20, 10. Again, the VIP limited edition straight rye whiskey was made in Colorado at Woody Creek.
That's right.
Yeah, Dane made that himself, 12 barrels. So it has the same mash bill, but it'll have different water. It has different yeast and enzymes. So it is in the bottle at 100 proof, and it doesn't taste anything like our regular rye. It's very smooth for 100 proof, but I tell people who like Scotch, I said, if you like Scotch, I said, you'll like our straight rye. It's very easy to drink, but I think it lends itself to a Scotch drinker, is my belief.
And this one's fantastic. I mean, it's going to be, this one won't be sticking around very long. I can tell you that. Plus my wife is newly into, my wife's a Canadian as well. So more of the Toronto area, but, so even like somehow when she was young, she like somehow always wants to like revert back to her days of like, well, they used to drink rye whiskey. And I'm like, well, you were never old enough to drink rye whiskey, when you're talking about it. But just in dealing with like her family and all of that, it is. It's all when they refer to it there, you don't even get, like you do here, you don't even ever get to the whiskey part of it. They just ask for rye. That's just what you get. Well, that. So yeah. It's just give me a rye and Coke or whatever. That's just how it goes. So
yeah, exactly. I remember I first, went to Grand Forks on my scholarship to play for the Fighting Sioux, and I was a 21-year-old freshman, late bloomer. So I was very fortunate to be able to get that scholarship, and I was one of the only freshmen that could go to the bar, and I'd go to the bar and order a rye and Coke, and they'd look at me like I had, 5 heads. What's a rye and Coke? So quickly learned, it was a whiskey Coke in the U.S.
Yeah, so that's it's always fun when I get together with my in-laws and stuff. I always kind of rib them quite a bit. So all right, let's see. So I guess one of the other things I was going to ask. Oh, that's what I want to do. We're getting kind of close to that time. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but So if anybody wanted to buy or look into this more, you can see the little ticker at the bottom. You can check out things at BELFOURSPIRITS.com. Are people able to go to the website and actually place orders? Can they do that?
No, they can't place an order, but they can go to our website, and there's a zip code box there. You put in the zip code, and it'll tell you where the nearest liquor store or bar that is carrying our products.
Okay.
So it's pretty easy to do. We're obviously not in every state yet. We just got on the shelves in October, but we are in Illinois. We are in Texas. We are in North Dakota, South Dakota, soon to be Colorado here, Tennessee, Georgia. So we're working diligently on trying to get to as many states as possible. Canada, as soon as the borders open, we'll be in Canada, like I was saying.
Yeah.
And our goal is to, try to get to all the states, obviously, all across North America. And we'll try to get to probably 7 to 10 states next year, new states.
Yeah, and you guys have done a good job. I mean, that's a lot of states and territory for a relatively short period of time for distribution. So you've done some pretty good hustling there. So
yeah, we got a great sales team. They go above and beyond. They work diligently at promoting our products and getting out there. Even during COVID, all of our sales staff out there promoting Belfour Spirits, and we're all still doing tastings, even if they're virtual. We still do all that stuff, and Elizabeth Cornelius does a great job with our social media. And like I was saying, we got a great team. That's one thing that I learned over the years is you have to have a great team to be successful. And I was so lucky to be on so many great teams and win championships. Mark Lonis has done a great job with our sales staff, and really appreciate the effort that everyone's done. So it's a team effort, and
it is. There's always a few faces of a brand, but there's so many people that are behind the scenes that really contribute an awful lot to a lot of things, whether that's sports, business, really whatever it may be. So, all right. So I've got a few questions that some of the guys have asked, and I've got some kind of hockey related things. You're okay answering a couple of these?
For sure.
All right. So I had one before. So Matt, who runs another whiskey review channel, who is down in the Dallas Fort Worth area, I believe either that or Austin. Matt, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but he runs a whiskey review channel. But he was asking if you felt that the rye whiskey, the special edition one, is significantly better. If so, he was going to run out and purchase one right away. So
it just has a different characteristics to it. It's also very floral. It's 100 proof. Again, it's more of it's a collector's item for sure. Specialty box. It's a lot higher priced because there's only a limited amount of it. Mm-hmm. But I believe that I tried it back home with my mom and dad and some friends of mine that don't drink whiskey at all. And one in particular, Cindy Sutherland, who she had told me I hadn't had whiskey since I was like a young girl, and I don't drink whiskey, and I had a really bad experience with it. I'm like, well, just give it a little sip. And, she tried our 100 proof, and she was really amazed at how smooth and easy it was to drink. And so that's the thing, everyone has a different palate and what they like and what they don't like. But I just suggest, if you get a chance to try it, give it a try. And if you don't even want to open the bottle on the VIP, a lot of people don't, because, there is only so many bottles of it. You can have it sitting up on the mantle too. And
he's a bottle opener. This guy's got, I mean, it could be thousands of bottles. Matt's got one hell of a whiskey collection. So I don't think there's anything for the most part that's staying closed for him. So
all right, would be to buy both, and then you can compare.
Yeah, there he goes. Yeah, that's a good. There you go, Matt. That's a good proposition for you. Why just buy one when you can buy 2 or 3, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so Jason from another one of the fantastic whiskey review channels out there, this kind of was playing into a little bit of my question, but actually let me ask mine first. So my question to you would be, as a goalie, who do you feel was the best overall player you'd ever faced?
Well, I mean, there were so many great players that I played against in my era. I played against Gretzky and Lemieux and Messier and Yager, Yzerman. I mean, Brett Hall. So many. But I played a lot against Brett when I was in Chicago. He was in St. Louis, and then fortunately we got to play together here in Dallas and win the Cup together. So. Brett was one of those guys that when he was on the ice, I made sure I knew where he was, because I knew the puck was going to him and he was going to rip it right away. And he has a heck of a shot, and obviously has proven that. So
the guy who's let's say the guy who's leaking out a little bit, and he's kind of just hovering around the blue line a little bit, and he gets a nice long pass. Let's exclude the old days when there was still the 2-line passes. Let's just open it up like now. Somebody who gets the puck right at the blue line and you're one-on-one with them. Who is that guy you didn't really want to see? I know you're all fired up right now, for this guy. He's coming at you, but you're thinking this was maybe the guy I don't necessarily want to see. Was there a guy who had your number?
I wouldn't say anybody had my number, no, but if there was one guy, it was Mario Lemieux. He had such a long reach, and he was so, crafty and shifty with the puck. He's just an amazing player. So for me, when Mario got the puck, you had to be on your game. You knew it. So that's probably the guy.
Yeah. So Jason was asking, so this is a little bit of a transition into that. Maybe the most terrifying penalty shot you've ever had to defend.
Steve Larmer. When I was playing in Steve and I started, I started with Steve. He was a veteran player with the Blackhawks, and then he got traded to the Rangers, New York Rangers, and we were playing the Rangers in Chicago Stadium one night, and he got a penalty shot on me, and I'm like, oh no, Larms. He's such a shifty shooter, and it's hard to read where he would shoot the puck. Like most times I could read where the puck was going even before the guy shot it. I could tell by his body language and, his positioning of where the puck was, and, the stick positioning. But with Larms, he had this way of shifting his hips, his wrists, and his shoulders, and you couldn't really tell where it was going, and he scored on me. So it was Steve Larmer.
That's an interesting, everybody always expects to hear the big names, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of these guys who there was always that one guy, whether it was, in baseball, football, there was just always that one guy that you just always had in the back of your mind. It's like, oh, here we go. It's on type of deal. So, so Tim, we'll maybe a couple more here real quick for you. So Tim was asking, any stories of the old man Wirtz, the old owner of the Hawks, any good or bad stories about Mr. Wirtz?
Well, Mr. Wirtz was, for me, he was always around the team. He's very in charge. I didn't get a chance to get to know him personally, but, he was a very passionate person and always wanted us to do our best and win. He expected us to win, and there was a lot of wonderful people around the Chicago Stadium, and he brought them in. So I'm just thankful I got the opportunity to play for the Blackhawks, and thank the Wirtz family and Bob Pulford for bringing me in there. Yeah.
Well, before we let you go, Matt was saying he's going to buy a couple of the bottles, and if you ever want to go on his show, he runs another fantastic whiskey show. So I'm sure he'd be happy to have you guys on and talk whiskey and all of that as well.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
So one final question for you is the hockey mullet the greatest hairstyle of all time?
Yeah, for sure.
You got it. You got it.
Still growing.
It's the best. There's no doubt. Yeah, exactly. That's those days are kind of long gone for the mullet or whatever. But I think everybody had the old tried and true mullet. So, all right. Before we wrap up, do you want to share with everybody where they can find you? Anything else you want to talk about regarding the brand? Feel free to share whatever it is you'd like.
Yeah, we're on Facebook, Instagram, all the social media places, our website, BELFOURSPIRITS.com. Really appreciate all the support from all of our fans and friends that are helping us out with creating our brand. It just means so much to us. All the people that have helped us at Moonshine University, the Canadian Institute, where Dane and I first went. It's just a lot of people have helped us get to this point, and we're just very thankful. And we're thankful to all you folks out there that are enjoying BELFOUR Spirits and supporting our brand. And we look forward to bringing more awesome products to you folks.
Well, you've got a fan in me. I mean, I'm a big fan. I was already a fan of yours and your game, and now what it is that you're doing with the whiskey. I think I appreciate it even that much more, knowing the passion that you're kind of putting into it and all of that. I'll look forward to hopefully one day visiting the distillery somewhere in Kentucky. So that'll be a lot of fun. So. All right. So I want to say, well, more importantly, thank you so much for taking a few minutes of your time. Stick tight. Don't go away yet. But everybody, thank you so much for joining tonight. I hope you had a lot of fun. This was very informative. It gave you a good look into Mr. Belfour's career with the hockey, and you could tell obviously the passion that's going into the whiskey. So if you have an opportunity to try these, go out, get them, see what you think. And leave some comments on the replay later. If you try it, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what everybody thought about the whiskeys itself. So thanks again, everybody, for joining tonight. Mr. Belfour, thank you so much for joining tonight. Greatly appreciate it. So hopefully we'll see everybody again, and everybody else have a great evening. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott.